Hey moguls, it's Dr. T here, and I'm coming to you with some multi-million-dollar upgrades. I'm just wanting to bring you some upgrades, everyone, so you can just really mogul on up into your highest power, be able to build the life that you want, the one that you desire, and I'm really excited to be with you. So thanks for tuning in. And what we're focusing on with this upgrade into mogul reality is how you can stop playing small, start winning big like the moguls do, and all doing that without working any harder than you already do. Okay, so let's dive in and let's get this upgrade just absolutely nailed. Okay, so one of the ways that we can stop playing small and start winning big, and to do that without working harder, even though we have been given the prescription to work harder. And that's the entire strategy for life, right? Just do it harder. Well, maybe that's some people's strategy for some things, but anyway. How we make this upgrade is we first start to recognize that the reason we might be playing small or even just feeling small, instead of winning big like the moguls do and the people that you see that are really in the mogul reality, and you can see like there's something going on where it's like it looks like they're kind of, they're not having to work as hard as you. Issue is that we want to recognize that the reason we're playing small or feeling small is because the entire system of reality that the mass population has been being developed in, incubated in, if you will, and even, dare I say, contained in. I'm getting some interesting little notice here. I hope it's not impacting anything. More than one ingestion is using the... I'm not sure what the issue is here. I'm going to keep going. So the reason... Hang on, folks. I'm just going to check in here on any issue that's going on the channel with this live, so we don't have any... So everybody can just get this upgrade. Let me just take a moment. Make sure it's going the way it's supposed to be flowing. Okay, is it flowing? Saying it's live now, so it looks like everything's fine. It's just giving me some sort of message. Okay, so let me just take a retake here. So what's to understand is that the reason we might have been playing small or feeling small is because we have been programmed to do so. And it can be really helpful to just be able to come into a more of our mogul self in that self-leadership and just be able to recognize that the system that we have been being incubated in, developed in, that we live in, and all the different ways we might think about it, and even contained in, that environment and that process and every aspect of it, from the time we are little, for the most part, except for a teeny percentage of the population, has been about programming you to stay small. Okay, just take that in for a moment. Because beings come into the world, they are powerful. They are like roaring, full of energy. They are like, hey, world, I'm here. And when they want something, they claim it. They're in their power. I mean, we all know how powerful babies are, right? The little ones are just like, rawr. And we're programmed to say, this is what I want. This is what I need. This is who I am. I'm here. And what starts happening from the time we're little wee ones in order to socialize us, domesticate us, and shape us into everybody being able to handle that force of nature that babies are. If you just take a look at it, it's all about containing, suppressing, and sure, it's conditioning and helping us get programmed into more manageable beings. But let's face it, we're pretty wild when we come in. We're like the wild creatures that we are, just like, I'm here, I'm big, I'm powerful. And we start getting all of the conditioning to suppress us, get us to be small, get us to follow a program, get on this program, get on the sleep schedule. We start to go, we're going to just domesticate you into this system. And we're taught, our parents are taught to do that. We are taught to do that. We're not taught to let a being be absolutely powerful, big, expansive, and fierce, and just going for what they want. And if you think about it, we might actually, in some cases, be the most powerful when we're babies. And we're just like, and then the system, again, in order for us to fit into the system, instead of us being these, like, dare I say it, wild creature, these wild beings that are just like profound, we start getting programmed to be very small. We get programmed to get on board, play by the rules, get in the sleep schedule, follow this. We start getting suppressed. We start getting shrunk. So it's weird because we're teeny and our energy is maybe the biggest it ever is when we're little. And then the longer time goes on, especially if you are someone, if you are a being, and you come into this world and you are just like, I am here and I have a voice and I'm going to use it. And I'm a presence. It's like almost considered a problem. So all that amazing big energy and everything that it's capable of doing, which, think about it, babies are like just like getting everybody on its program until it's like, oh no, we're taking over. We're getting you on our program. And you say, okay, I can see the benefits of that, but let's get real. Our program here on Earth has not been so ideal, and we're like making babies get on that program. So I just want you to get that from the very beginning, and it really does go all the way throughout our lives. We are programmed to be small, feel small, play small. And every system of reality that we are typically going into is just getting us to get on the program. So whether we are then going in, we're getting on our parents' program and they're telling us to be smaller because they don't want us to be more powerful than them. They're like, shit, this baby's taking over. And when we start to feel like we're like the leader of the pack and we're little, and that's like, no, we got to get this kid in line. So we start to get shrunk down, and this powerful energy gets contained, suppressed, and we just begin to play small. We go into a school system, which is slave school, and it's designed for us to become enslaved workers, and getting us to play small and fall in line and not be unique and individual. And no way, don't be powerful and fierce. Do not exhibit the traits of a mogul. It's like you fall in line, you belong, everything is just belong. Suppressing. And we get smaller and smaller and smaller. And no wonder us amazing, wild creatures, as beings, as fierce beings, start to feel sicker and sicker and more miserable the longer we are in the system. And everything just starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller, right? We're in cars and we're squished in and we're small. We're in houses and we're squished in and we're small. We were once beings that were just out in the wild, just like feeling the earth was our home. And it's small. And now we're and we're taught to play small. We're taught to feel small. And without, with all due respect to everyone and what your, opinions are of our worlds and our reality and our infrastructures and our power structures, we are so taught to be small. We are scared that we are literally programmed with terrible, awful news coming in all the time. We're programmed with our parents stressful and struggling, so we begin to get small because we're scared of these people who are struggling and they don't know what they're doing and they can be reactive. And so we get smaller. I don't know about any of you, but I recognize like that in order to survive in the world and in family systems, like there's a whole concept of getting smaller. Even though I wanted to feel bigger, but you're like, oh, I don't know what's going on. Is dad going to yell? Is dad going to be upset? Is mom going to freak out? And we just start to get smaller. We start to shrink in order to not get these reactions and not get our ass kicked to fit in. And we just get smaller and smaller. And we wonder, I don't get like, why do I feel small? Why am I playing small? Why are other people playing bigger and being bigger winners? But let's think about this. This is sort of, the ultimate cluster F of a paradox, because you're programmed to be smaller. You're programmed with fear and horrible news and to scare the shit out of you and to get you to follow authority and to be afraid to not fall in line and just belong and get on the program. I mean, talk about they really, if you don't belong, they're really scaring you with that. So we're given all this programming to be small, right? That's why my whole lifetime, the school system is just as shitty as it ever was. Because they're not like, oh, let's program all of these people into powerful moguls. They're not doing that. Because, again, whatever your beliefs are and your perspectives, I have all due respect to them, we're programmed. So we'll be so small that we will literally be able to be controlled, contained, and dare I say it, conquered, as power structures do. They conquer and colonize and create mechanisms and realities and populations who will follow the program and feed that system. So to finish up what I was just saying about this paradox, so I didn't complete that thought. So the paradox is we are programmed to play small. We're programmed to be afraid. We're programmed to be suppressed. And we are certainly programmed not to have high self-esteem, because the moment you do, it's like, oh, who do you think you are? Feeling good about yourself. Like, level you out. I mean, it's like, oh, don't start feeling yourself. Don't start feeling good. I mean, not only does everybody descend on you to just smack you down again, I mean, then everybody's programmed to do that, like to be like, no, nobody should feel good about themselves. Like, no, that's not allowed. And we're programmed with many, many, many mechanisms, while at the same time, and here's the big cluster F that I was just referring to, where we have to do so much to be successful, it is beyond comprehension. I mean, it's a really brutal process. And it's a really brutal system that the humans have created, even though the universe is trying to give us programming to take us to a higher level. So the system, the power structure, all those mechanisms that are like in place for reasons, it's like so mysterious. Like we've had all these advancements, but like the school system is still a total wreck. It's like, you think that's an accident? because nobody in the high up power structures wants a whole population of people to be like moguls and be big and powerful, capable of literally saying like, we're not going to take it anymore, and overthrowing the situation or revolutionizing or whatever it is. So we are simultaneously squished down into our smallest, lowest self that makes us feel like crap. And everybody knows it from the time you're little. Like nobody's at school. No, very small percentage of the population's like, I loved school. It was so fabulous. Everybody went into that system and for the most part feel pretty miserable from it and when they were in it. So like here, you're going to be small. We're not going to give you the mogul curriculum. We're going to give you the worker slave curriculum. We're just going to keep saying, oh, what? You got to get a job. What job are you going to get? Job, 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 job. Worker, worker, worker. Slave, slave, slave. While they make the cost of living in the reality where you have to be a mogul. So they're not training you to be a mogul, but they're charging you as if you were. So you have to play small, but you have to pay big for everything, which would be a lot easier to do if you could win big and play big like your bigger self. Because imagine if the opposite were true, that they were programming you to be your biggest, most expansive, fierce, empowered self and letting all that energy expand instead of like suppressing it down where you're just like so small. Your energy is like teeny tiny drop of what you need to do each day, which is why you're exhausted, because the stress is very simple. It's the differential between how powerful you are and what you need, what your abilities are and what you actually need to do. So your programming, it's an absolute horrible manipulation. I mean, the more I saw these things over the years, it just broke my heart that that's what's being done to all of us. But when you really get honest with yourself, you can see we are literally being programmed into being like just a hot mess. We're being programmed in every way. It's pretty significant when you really boil it down and you're like, this doesn't feel good. You thought that your whole life, it doesn't make sense. But then you have to, and this is what was happening to our parents, parents, but it's harder now, is that you have to play big. You have to basically be able to operate as if you're completely a powerful mogul person to even be able to afford to live in this reality. And yet you're not being programmed for it. You're literally not being programmed for what's required of you. So you have to play big, and you can feel that, but you're programmed to play small. And then people are just like, fuck it. Like, how am I don't have the energy to do that all. And it's because the people that are programmed to play big, go big, either in their family system because they hit the lottery, very few people do, and that family was more of an empire dynasty type family, mogul family, or people got it and begin to recognize it and begin to program themselves into the mogul level with the mogul type curriculums and programming. So it's those folks that you're like, how's this person doing this? They're doing like 300 businesses. Like, what's going on? How's this person do all these things? They've got a great marriage, a power couple partnership. They're running an empire. They're creating a family dynasty. They're a mogul of reality. They've got this company, that company, and that company. They're running circles around you. And you're like, why do they have, I don't know, they have so much energy. I don't have it. It's because their programming is to play big, to win big. And they're in the mogul curriculum for mogul energy and mogul reality. And that's how they can not only meet the cost of this reality, but they have tenfold and more. They're just exponentially able to afford it. Completely a difference in programming. So because we're programmed to play small, well, we have to. The cost is big of living here in this world at this time. Then the message is like, Well, let me give you the other prescription, which is the prescription we were given. Just work harder. Harder. Why? We could have chosen any other word. Harder. Not better. Why didn't we choose the programming work better? Seems like better, doesn't it? To work better. Let's take that upgrade in. Let's work better. Because again, that's what the moguls do. They just work better. But even more importantly, why what we're doing as an upgrade today is that you can do all of this without having to work harder is not just because you can replace that jacked up programming with working better, but because you can recognize that when you come into your higher self, your more expanded self, the mogul identity, you come into a bigger energy and you get out of this suppressive, containing, awful programming, keeping you small, and you start to come in to play big and win big and go big, baby. As you do that, you literally start to gain energy because you're letting yourself out of the containment. You start to gain the energy that you see all the moguls and big influencers having, the titans and the magnets of industry, because they're like, I'm fine with playing big. And you see them, they're like super comfortable. They're like, this is just normal. And you're like, well, why is this like this? I don't get it. They just look like they're super relaxed because they're in the mogul identity, which you're invited into. They do mogul training, and I would know because that's what I spent years doing, was coaching people into moguling. Not working, but moguling. And the more they do that, and the more they expand into the mogul identity, the more they go into the powerful creator reality. And they're focused on creating empires and dynasties, which is another way of expanding their energy, right? Because if you're just like, I'm creating a business or a company, look at that just did. I'm like, sure, that's fine, but it's kind of like not that big. It's not that expansive. Doesn't matter if it's big or small. It's about are you in the highest reality? Because when you start going for empires and dynasties, you start getting the benefits of the energy of that reality just by focusing on it. It starts to give itself to you. So the more they focus on that, the less work they have to do. It's the secret. This is the programming process. This is why I'm bringing this to all of you instead of just keeping it with my ultra high net worth and high net worth clients who have benefited from this for many years now. So I'm going to let you in on more. The more you go big, the more you buck that system that makes you play small, the more you recognize that programming in you are like, no, hell to the no. And the more you say, sorry, whoever it is that wants me to play small and tries to keep me small, I'm going big, I'm playing big, I'm winning big, I'm doing it like a mogul. Because when you do, even if you're not there yet, you start to get all the energy, all the bandwidth, all the vitality. It gives itself to you. And now everything you do comes from this expansive energy that gets to create things. All you have to do is start saying things, thinking about things, intending things, and it like gives all this expansive energy instead of your wee little shrunken self trying to pedal. Going, work hard, work hard, work hard. And you're just like, fuck, I cannot stand this treadmill anymore because you were teeny. Your mind's been programmed to be small. Your energy's been programmed to be small. How can you win big? And then when they feed you this awful, brutal prescription and strategy that you just have to work hard. It's like, what if you just keep working hard, but you don't have the correct identity and you don't have the correct intentionality and your energy keeps staying small? And then everything you go to do, your little teeny energy level is coming at it. So it can only produce so much. And you're just like, why is this person producing this massive reality? And I'm working like every, level I possibly can. And it's only producing a little. It's because your energy is contracted and it's suppressed and you're playing small, even if you're working hard. It's the worst because you're like trying to, it's like taking a teeny tiny hammer or one of those teeny tiny screwdrivers. You're trying to create reality with that. And just like, no, let's go big. Let's take a freaking swing at it. Like, let's get to mogul level. So all those layers of the really effed up programming, which by the way, the more it's like they got you to play small, they got you to have to pay big because it's a massive cost. You have to be like a mogul to afford anything. And when you do, you hardly have anything left. You have to keep running like a hamster on a wheel. And they're like, just work harder and make you feel like a piece of shit. They do it even more. Just work harder. But you can see it doesn't make any sense. You take someone like Mark Cuban, a billionaire, whatever he's got now, 300 businesses, these Shark Tank people. There's no working harder, right? It's, if anything, let's take it up a notch to working better. But what if it is also being, if you're more in your bigger power, you're just living in it every day. I'm like in my big self. And I'm willing to do that. And I'm willing to be like, oh, let this power out, let the baby cry. Let's roar. Then the same actions and the same activities that you're doing just absolutely are so expansive. They can just create many more things in this big reality these people are creating. And it's like a little bit of their energy makes a massive reality because that is the mogul identity at work and the mogul energy. You've been programmed. The masses have been programmed with, you got to do a massive amount of work, teeny bit of output. You're exhausted. You're absolutely just like, they're playing big and you're playing small and they're just building a massive island of reality. And you're just like, why am I still in the same place? I'm stuck running on the treadmill. So it's important to open up to this programming, understand how beeping freaking awful it is, that it is, and this is the hard pill to swallow, but it's a mogul thing to just recognize it. That on purpose, you were giving programming that has been centuries and centuries of giving that programming to the masses. It was once done by the royalty, and just because we don't call people kings and queens, don't think we don't have them. The royal court, the elite, the power structures are doing something that they've been doing for centuries, which is we got to keep the masses in check. We have to divide and conquer them. We have to keep them weak. We have to keep them hungry. We have to keep them not getting their needs met because they'll be too weak to rise up and take the throne, because that used to happen for centuries too, like someone taking over the throne, some powerful force coming in and being like, I am the king now, biatch. That happened over and over again. So you program the masses into being dumbed down, workers, slaves, small, afraid of authority. This is the oldest playbook in the world. So that they'll be divided, fighting amongst themselves, because all the scarcity and misery makes people turn on each other. And if all people have to do is know what it's like to be in with a family, which is supposed to be the holy grail, but families turn on each other more than anyone. Because the conditions are so miserable in the prison camp, the incubator for incubating a teeny bit of people to be in power and everyone else to be lower. It's time to come into the connection to that. So it's an old playbook because you don't want to feed the masses amazing food so that they're strong. You want to feed them some low-level stuff so they are just fed, but they are weak. You want to work them to death so they have just enough that they'll have hope and keep going. They'll produce so much productivity, they give the abundance or the GDP to the region where we can then also tax them. and take up to half of what they've made and keep going and keep adding in taxes that we don't tell them about, called inflation and money debasing. We're going to keep giving them this prescription and shaming them into more hard work. We're going to keep feeding them awful, terrible programming about how scary the world is, so they better keep in check. And when they start to get really powerful and really happy and full of themselves, we're going to run programming, making sure that anybody that's getting too powerful, we do whatever we have to do to knock them down a notch. Some people have that done by the power structures through a lot of mechanisms, and sometimes the power structure just gets all the people of the world, the region, to like knock that person down, because that's why the mass population loves to knock down people that are doing really well, instead of going like, go mogul, go, you made it out, thanks for bringing us with you. It's like, no, we're going to knock you down so you're with us, because we've been programmed that we need to be small, they need to be small. And when a system is incubating slaves, let's just take it to that level, instead of moguls and masters, it does an amazing job of getting all the rest of the population to do it to each other, where it's like, hey, all they had to do was run the container and almost set it and forget it, and people will turn on each other, be dysfunctional, be sick, be small, and if program it enough, it'll just keep doing it. And then you're just like, we're over here while you're distracted. We're programming you with all the alcohol and all the poisonous food and getting you to just be in a stupor, burnout, addicted, dysfunctional, miserable, lonely, suicidal. People are killing themselves. Oops, we dialed it too far. We don't mean, we just want to go just on the verge of suicidal, not completely being so obvious that people see that we're killing people and they're opting out. And although this may seem, kind of a rude awakening for everybody, that's like, and then we're over here doing whatever we want, playing the game and dialing up the heat on you. And we're like literally over here on our private island, because those folks are the power structure. They're people that are willing to play big. And fortunately, we have more new moguls coming in and upcoming that are like so well intended that when they get high up in the mogul reality field, they absolutely turn everything they have into bringing more people with them. And that's what's happening. That's what's happening. Okay. So even though that programming's been programmed in you to literally be like a domesticated animal, which doesn't give you your power, and then you have to go do something, and you're like, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I want to take a nap, I want to watch Netflix, and why, when I make something, why is this person, this thing turns out to be like bazillions of dollars, but I'm struggling, it's not working? It's because we need you to go big, play big, and be like a mogul. Let your energy out, let it be fierce, get your roar on, let's expand. This is not to take power over anyone else, this is like to let you out of the cage. Oh, doesn't it feel good? Let me out. And it's to program yourself into a much higher identity, which is why all the programming of my company, where we are programming the International Moguls Club community, helping people and leaders transform through the Empire Company and the Dynasty Making program, and where we have been programming people into powerful creators for a very long time. And specifically utilizing the mogul identity to help quickly upgrade someone's entire energy and reality to the top players in the field, is so that you have the energy, so that everything you do has that energy coming with it. So it like makes a bigger wake of everything that you do. It makes it bigger. It makes it more. So you have less energy, creating more, and you're flip-flopping what's happened to you. Right? That's what the transformation is. And I know the more you all connect with this, it's starting to make sense to you. So take this upgrade in. Start to connect to your bigger self, mogul identity, bigger energy, whatever you want to build. It doesn't have to be like some crazy thing that you don't feel like doing. It can be your own personal version of an empire. That could be a one-person solopreneur situation. It's not about 5,000 employees or something like that. Your own empire, your own dynasty of your family, the programming that the wealthy power structure who's just got more money than they'll ever know what to do with for generations and generations to come. This is because this is their programming. And that's why that programming takes them there, because they're doing the same, believe me, they're doing the same effort as you, but less. And their programming is the opposite of yours. Right? So that's how this upgrade works. So let's get you to stop playing small. Start winning big like the moguls do. Let yourself out of the cage like the absolute amazing, fierce leader and reality maker that you are. Yes, right? Start putting your intentions front and center and allowing the bigger energy of you to be in the world. And as you approach everything, this is what's going to be the force behind it. Know that other people around you are used to you playing small, and they will. Just expect it. They will try to put you back into the container, but you're here to be like, Jack does not go back in the box, baby. They're not used to you being the big version of yourself because every one of them was programmed to be little. So you got to go big. Everyone will adjust, because the only way to keep up with this entire program, this game that's been run on you, especially in the AI and the exponential age, where it's more to be required of you, that paradigm won't work. You have to play big. You have to go big. You have to be big. You don't have to crush anyone, but you need to bring all of yourself with you. You need to rise on up, open on up, expand on out. And think of that if you were that little baby that just was able to be like, this is what I want, this is what I intend, and just was a roaring, fierce, fabulous version of you that was putting that and directing that toward intentions, not to hurt anybody or anything. That's not what we're here to do. This is going to give you the mogul energy to even be able to afford to live in the freaking world that we live in right now, to even get close to it and finally get there and then go into the surplus, which is also what the incubator of the new bigger you will do, because you've been in an incubator of people that don't know how to run a reality except for being in a deficit. So you're going to be in a surplus. You're heading to that direction. You're going to be able to do less. You're going to be more because you're going to be expanded, but you're going to have to, you will get to do less, no more harder. You're going to buck that prescription, and you're going to let your bigger energy be the reality maker for you. It's going to bring more resources, more abundance, and you're just going to adapt to that. My invitation is to let everyone else get used to it. And if somebody is trying to put Jack back into the box, those people are out of alignment for you. And as the exponential age requires more and more and more of us, your bigger self, which is great, is the one who can handle all of that new stuff. Okay? It can handle all of the new stuff. Okay. So, I'm a little distracted. There's a little baby next door. Oh, you know what's happening? The baby's crying. There it is, right there. Go, baby, go. Let those lungs just bellow. Beautiful. Beautiful. How great is that? Cannot. You don't have to even make up that magic. It's right there and it exists. Yay. Okay, moguls. Let's just let that be the upgrade. The baby crying at the top of its lungs right outside my door of my neighbors. Good for that little mogul. So let's bring out that mogul inside of you. Let's unleash it into the world so it can do everything that you're going to need to do in the age of AI and the exponential age with a whole new world. Because that mogul self has more than plenty of capacity to handle the top of the reality. I invite you to have a commitment to completely go big, to absolutely reject and refuse anyone and anything that tries to make you small, because you, my friends, my mogul friends, cannot afford to let that happen to you anymore. Not at all. Let's bring that mogul identity into you. Let's let it expand your energy into the mogul energy reality field. Let's let that get applied to everything you do so that you can make way more by just being the bigger mogul you. And you can retire that all programming that somehow you have to be small but work hard with the little version of you, which will never ever get to where it wants to go. Because it'd be like, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. It'd be like, I don't know why this is coming up, but it'd be like, you know, you bought something, as they have you do, buy it on credit, and then you're like paying a penny, and you're going to pay that for the rest of your life. It's like you'll never pay it off. All right. Thanks for taking the upgrade in. Let's get that mogul energy flowing. Apply it to your everything. And one of the things, when you receive an upgrade like this and you internalize it, and you let it absolutely start to fuel all of your intentions and purpose and your creations, something that'll really benefit you is to be a part of the process of the way moguls do it. And they absolutely are the most incredible, generous, giving people in the world. And that would really it would really go a long way for you to be that way and subscribe to the channel here, to like this content and share it with the world and other people who need it, who don't know what's happening to them. And by this simple act, you can release people and set them literally free into a life of mogul level freedom. Just like I'm doing this for you with a simple couple of mogul acts like that, you can really step right into what moguls do and how moguls be, how they be. There's lots of content on the channel. Check out the content that's coming up here. There's our mogul community, so everything that is in the description for you to connect with, and there's tons and tons of content about bringing yourself into a bigger level mogul identity, playing the game at the top levels, and creating a mogul reality, making your empire, building your incredible dynasty. All right, moguls, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for taking the upgrade in, liking, subscribing, and sharing it the way that moguls do. I'll see you on the next one. All right, moguls, bye-bye.